All right, John,
Yes.
who begins?
We have Monica.
Hello.
Yes, dear one. Tell us, where do we begin?
I agree with Tyler. That was very, like always, extraordinary. Blew my mind away. Once I still have my mind in my body. I just a human way of saying something. I want to ask you so the planet's pretty strong. It been here for I don't know past million years. The thing that I'm crying out to with my heart is that this commander here, the other ones have put the protection that he's taking it away or is impending because I'm not giving away my power because this human M guy who wants to put things up in space, which is it's not anyway. It makes it. Why am I there? I'm out of words. Meaning, I just would like to have hopefully the commander changes his heart. It's not money that makes the soul a better person. We all answer to when the body passes, it degenerates and it turns into dust. So that's my way. My wish is somehow that they put the M starts to think he's a nurse, and I don't know where that brain came from, but this is planet Earth, and people want to live, enjoy their life, be happy. There's a lot of good things to do in this life. I don't know why people get so depressed and sad. Well, they can go outside and look at not up the sun, but get some sunlight, go plant, garden. This life's too short in this airplane. There's a lot of good things, good things. So this is my train of thought of this process that I wanted to ask you, if you may please.
All right. Certainly so. So since the last time we spoke, you have made a shift. Absolutely. You are understanding more and more that who you are being is the key. For when you are focusing on more of what you want, it affects your emotional state. It affects your thoughts as well, doesn't it? And so when you are in a more positive state, it's easier to think positive thoughts. It's easier to feel positive emotions. Now, we're not saying that as a human being, you should only be positive. It's not realistic at this time in the cycle of humanity. You are here to explore all of reality, and intensity is the key. And if you're not getting enough intensity from all the positive things that you are creating, then your higher self and soul will bring your attention to arenas where you will experience intensity. And so usually those are the clues to what matters to you as you are finding out. Oh, well, it matters to me if the earth is treated as a consciousness. It matters to me if the animals on the planet are honored for being participants in my reality. It matters to me whether the humanity as a whole has a vision for working together to create something more beautiful. So that's how your soul is speaking to you. So when, rather than stop with, well, this person's doing that and this other person, well, the world would be better without him. Instead of thinking those sorts of thoughts, understand, oh, my attention is going to those things I don't like to help me choose something new, to have me define more specifically the way I do want the world to be. And as you really let that change occur. So the meditation this evening has handled some of the weight that was there before, has lightened the past, changed the backdrop. The future creates the present. against a backdrop of the past, all of which are mutable, all are changeable. You didn't learn that. You learned that no, the past through cause and effect creates the future, but that is not true. It was true when the majority of the world believed it. But through quantum physics, your beliefs have changed. We would suggest you changed those first. You made the maps of changing reality to better suit who you are becoming. A higher truth has revealed itself. One that allows you more freedom. And so to work with what you do want to create in that way, oh, it's coming from the future. It's already done. The optimal version of what I want already exists. There's a whole range that exists, but I can call upon the me that is most optimal, creating the change in reality, rather than, which is a much more common approach, rather than trying to control people in your reality. Well, if I can just control him or her and stop them from doing something, well, then the world will be okay. But reality doesn't work that way because they are part of your illusion. So when you really let in, they're just reflecting back to me particular energies. And what there is to do is to sit with, what are these energies about? How do they help me? Or do I need to shift myself into a different resonance? Does that help?
Yes, Tara. I do want to ask you something. It's like, the waves come in pretty high and does its job, planet does its job, washes out, washes in. So I do believe that, we all have something to, at the end. Yeah, we all have someone we're going to answer to. I mean, whatever the illusion of that human being experience might be, can get away from answering to, again, is their illusion. But I do highly believe that things will get better for the airplane. I do highly believe that people have all options to do many wonderful things and stop worrying so much about the charter. I noticed in myself, in my experience, that I try to do good always and help. And I try to make things change and for the better, because I really believe this planet was heaven at the beginning. It was so perfect. So we have free will. So I guess I want to ask you, Tara, is that has my heart opened up more?
So what we're hearing you say is, are you open enough to create what you want? And we would say yes, that as you know how, whether you're a resonant match by how you feel. Now, some people are more aligned with thinking than feeling, and that's okay too. And the more you expand in either of those arenas, the more in balance you become, so that your thoughts and your feelings are congruent with the resonance, so that it's not just a fantasy. The more you think and feel about it, the more you know it to be true for yourself, the more expansive the resonance can become. And it does then attract to you, like attracts like. So in the resonance of really caring about the earth, caring about humanity, and caring about spirituality, you're already activating three very important domains. One is human consciousness, the other is earth consciousness, the other is God and Goddess consciousness. Together, you co-create the universe that you are in. You are responsible for your illusion, and yet it is a paradox. those in your reality are also responsible for their illusion. How can that be? They're part of my illusion, and yet they are responsible for their part. As you sit in paradox and let your mind contemplate, what does it mean that I create my own reality? And yet they're also real. How does that work? Just to sit in between the thoughts, in between the feelings, in between the words. New ideas will come, new solutions will come. So important from time to time to move out of the I know how it is. This is how it is. When you're complaining about reality, hear the thought in your head, oh, I'm complaining. That means I know how it is. So I'm no longer open to something new. I've already decided this is all there is. But that's not who you are. The you that questions what else is there? What else is possible? What else can I dream into being? That is who you truly are. Does that help?
Yes, thank you, Tara. That is so beautiful. Very, very beautiful. My heart is just with joy to be here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being
We
here.
love you so. All right.
Yes,
Enjoy every moment with you. All right. And who is next?
Hello.
Hey Tara.
Yes, dear one. Where do we begin?
Um, there are two things that I want to discuss. The meditation. It's interesting because in the meditation, it didn't feel that intense for me. It felt like there was something there, and it felt like it was a decision in childhood that I made, like maybe when I was 3 or 4, because if I tried to do something great, Edward just kind of, it felt like he kind of just smashed me on the head or something. So that's kind of what came up in the meditation. Um, and it feels like, and I don't know if this is related, when I was sitting in Quaker meeting on Sunday, normally I'm really good about like centering down, and I just kind of couldn't do it. My mind was all over the place and not about anything, um, big, like what am I going to do about Harry's birthday this week? And what about the car and Sandy, like nothing, critical. Um, so that was kind of, uh, I don't, yeah, I'm feeling a little like scattered. Um, and the two things I did want to talk about was when I asked Katrina to put me on the list is, I'm car shopping and trying to figure out what this new image that I have is and how am I trying to catch up with it. So, and actually, let me preface. There's just so many things seem to be in flow right now. Like I manifested somebody at the Quaker meeting. I didn't know like house sits and pet sits, and I was connected with him by somebody else in the meeting. He's so wonderful. Like he's just showing up to meet Sandy and get her comfortable with him, a month and a half beforehand. And and is gonna like come and just, and he's not even charging, and he's barely charging to house sit and pet sit. He's charging like $30 a day. Harry and I are so embarrassed. We're like, we can't just pay him $30 a day when it comes time for him to, walk the dog and water the plants and feed the cats. It's ridiculous. And and then yeah, I'm still struggling with Sandy on terms of like on one hand things are great, but she's still, when we go out and walk, she's the boss and Harry and I aren't the boss. And she's going through a phase over this last month where she's, another layer of where she was shut down has melting away and she's becoming more exuberant, which I'm really excited about. But the way that kind of displays itself is like when, I always try and let her off leash in like somewhere in the woods, like on one time during every walk. So she had a little time to run around. Well, now she's just running around and leaving. And she'll come back eventually, but she's kind of going further afield for longer. And last week she really wasn't coming back. And I finally, luckily, Harry was with me and I went down and I knew that, I know all these trails. So I kind of was like, Harry was freaking out. And I'm like, I know where she is. I just need to get to the lower trail. But she was like on the lower trail, but like really far ahead and like in the water. And she just didn't care. So I found a trainer that I think is going to work out well. But it's interesting because everybody when we hired a trainer over a year ago was really into, I only do positive reinforcement, only positive reinforcement. And this guy's like, I just want you to know I do like negative, don't think he calls it negative encouragement, but he's like the way he kind of described it is like, when an alarm goes off, you just kind of want to turn that noise off. And I just put a little pressure on her to do what I want so that she wants it to go away. And the way he works is instead of working with us, he takes her out of the house 4 times a week and then has a fifth session per week where he then trains Harry and I on what she learned. And she still won't walk with anybody but Harry and I, or if she stays with her foster parents or foster parents. So, we're leaving at the end of September and I need to know that she's okay walking with other people. And so I think his whole thing of taking her out of the house by himself and training her is really valuable. There's a part of me, and it's probably just my negative ego, that's like, is this just a cop out that I'm hiring somebody else to do what I can't seem to do because I've let her be in charge? But on the other hand, you know, we've healed so much of her trauma, which I think is the harder part. And she's really just a happy dog um, these days. So, I mean, there's a part of me that's like, I feel like we're in a good place with Sandy. We're just not, we just kind of are too permissive. And is there something I need to heal within me to be the person in charge with Sandy and not let her run the show? Um, and then I'm kind of flip-flopping. And then with the car, it's this, um, again, things are just kind of so much in flow. Um, I couldn't get a hold of the person handling the claim today, but I got in touch with the people they outsourced to manage the repair, and indeed the car has got so much body work. I'm pretty sure they're going to let me total the car, which makes it me receive much more than I ever could by like selling it or trading it in. And then because it's totaled, um, I have this huge rental car benefit. And so I'm just trying out all these things for at no cost to me. And for the hell of it, I rented a BMW SUV because I wanted to experience an SUV and the luxury of a BMW. And I called that damn thing a tank because it was so huge. I hated it. I had to trade it. I had to like swap it out immediately. But it was interesting because I think like and now I have a luxury Acura, but a compact SUV, and it doesn't feel that luxurious. But it's all happening so easily at like no expense to me. And but the thing that I'm really kind of most interested in is um is a Tesla S like their equivalent of an SUV. And but I just like what's interesting about it is, and I'm finally going to get to test drive one tomorrow, is that so none of the cars that I'm really interested in I've test driven, but I love the auto drive feature because Harry's legally blind, he can't drive, so when he can never help me driving. So if it's late at night and I have to get an hour home, I have to do it by myself when I'm sleepy. Or if we go on a road trip for hours and hours, I have to do it by myself. And so I really love this idea of this self-driving car. I mean, you still have to be awake and pay attention, but it's just, I think it's a much safer thing. But it's this like, well, how many charging stations are there if we go on a road trip and we like to go to Ocracoke and there is a single charger on the island? And, because I'm looking up the places that we want to drive to. And and I was talking to my insurance agent today about it, and he's like, well, it's very hard to get an electric vehicle, any electric vehicle fixed. It's much more expensive. And so it's an interesting thing about like, what is my image? Is my image of myself luxury, not luxury? Because I've never had a luxury car. When I worked for McKinsey, I did, but I didn't buy it. And this idea of this new technology of the future that's still not quite there. And, do I trust that it's okay if I step into this new technology? Um, Even though my insurance agent really hates the idea, he's so unhappy about. I mean, he'll accept it because it's whatever car I get. But it was just funny. He was so grumpy about the whole thing, and yet it's what I'm kind of most intrigued by. And so I think it's, like any ideas about, this trying to step in or catch up with this new image of mine. Anyway, that's where I'm at.
Wonderful. So much magic happening and more choices, more choices, more power.
Mhm.
So as you're allowing yourself to create a reality of more choices, let yourself know, oh, this is fun. This is the way reality is supposed to be. And so as you're also very focused on what you do want to create. So around Sandy, you want to really be free to travel and to know that she's cared for.
Yes.
And that is coming about in a very elegant way, isn't it?
Yes.
And the walking is getting a trainer and doing the walking, all of that has been an ongoing sort of negotiation with Sandy.
Yes.
And so, really, even though you would like to be the alpha, by having delegated it to her long ago, and she's aware of that, it's something that will be interesting to see if this trainer is able to create that sense of someone else being the alpha. And really, it's from a reality creating standpoint, you have to choose. Are you willing for that to occur? If it's not you, you see. So, where you would need to look from a metaphysical standpoint, okay, what can I create a reality where I am thrilled and excited that the trainer is treated as the alpha? And then what happens once the trainer is no longer training? That those skills actually need to be transferred to you. So it's actually a higher priority for you to get the training of what does it mean to be the alpha. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So he takes her out. His program is he takes her out 4 times a week, and then at the end of the week, he takes Harry and I and transfers what she learned to us that week. But is that like a but and I've tried like, you know, he won't start for 2 weeks. And, starting yesterday, I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm paying somebody to command Sandy. I'm gonna start commanding her. So she and I really had a yesterday when I was walking her yesterday morning, I'm like, enough is enough. You're going where I'm telling you to go. And boy, it was tough. And in the end, I won. but it was not easy, and it didn't. And for a while, I thought I lost. And I don't really want to think of it in terms of win and lose with her.
Yes.
Um, um, but but today she was very trying to figure out what I wanted her to do. And then when I took her for a second walk, and she was great in the morning, really like, okay, what does mom want? What does mom want? But then and she was great at the beginning of the second walk. But then she went into the water, and once she went into the water, that was it. Then it was, off leash in the water, and she was like, I'm gonna do what I want to do. And that was then we were back to the old games. And she came back when she wanted to come back, and she loves the water. And it was hot. So, yeah, so that's what it is. It's weird. Can I really have somebody else teach her that she's not in charge? I, I don't know. Like, will it work if I'm willing to let it happen, or will it, or
So,
is this,
so as we started out saying, ultimately, the confidence needs to be that when the authority is transferred to you, that you will be able to hold it.
Mhm,
It's all about authority.
mhm.
So, and authority in dominion is different than authority in domination. So you're having to look more deeply at what intuitively is, what do you want to create here with Sandy? And so over the past year, you've been exploring, how do I do this lovingly? How do I do this in dominion? And what does it mean that she has a will that's different from mine? And what does it mean that one of us has to be the alpha because that's what the the consensus feeds back to me? Does
Yeah,
that make sense?
I've been trying to create more of a partnership with her, and it mostly was working, but it hasn't. Like about a month ago, she and Jasper um, had confronted a squirrel, and the squirrel was safe behind an iron fence. But then Sandy and Jasper were in between the squirrel and I guess the squirrel's favorite tree. And so it charged and ran at the two of them to get past them to the tree. And Sandy actually caught the damn thing. I mean, she touched it with her nose, but there was something about that event that really triggered some primal instinct in her. And the two of them are going bonkers over squirrels and chipmunks now, and they're having so much fun. And I love it that she's less shut down, but she's, I just, I do think she's going to get in trouble. And so now it's this, I want her to stay safe. And so now I think that's why I feel that I feel urgency for two reasons. One is I think she could get into trouble. And so, she's got to have fun and experience this new level of exuberance, but safely. And we are going to be going away. And enough is enough of this. I'm not going to walk with anybody unless I decide I'm going to walk with them. And like that just has to go away. Um, so, because she's going to be really unhappy when we're in England otherwise. So I think I do have a new resolve, but not because I need to be the alpha, but because, I see things could become really problematic for her.
Yes, because ultimately you understand from a human level, at the human level, you are responsible for her in the eyes of other humans.
Right.
That is the reality from a
Yeah.
social structure. Uh, as as uh, as the mom of this pet, you are in charge of the impact that she has. And so part of what you are describing is yeah, she's a free spirit like you are, and it's useful to have boundaries. And
I
the
can't,
reality is complex enough, the situations are complex enough that you want her to know when she needs to heal or when she needs to back off or come when she's called, that sort of thing. It creates safety.
I feel like there's this, I do feel like it's a cop out to have somebody else do it, but I can't seem to do it. I just, I do feel like I have more resolve now than I did even a month ago, but I still can't seem to, I can do it, I can get her to budge somewhat, but not, yeah,
And so then the more important focus of attention for you is to say, what do I want to create here? What's my opportunity? I'm being, I'm creating a reality where I have this expert coming in to help Sandy, but maybe there's some clue here for me. Maybe I create sort of the magic key that at the end of it, and then go into imagination. What would it feel like to have that magic key that gives you that rapport with Sandy, so that when you're in communicating, you're very clear and that you understand her also.
through this trainer, like with his help.
It's one place that it can come from. Yes.
Hmm.
So focus more on the outcome you want to create. What's the vision? What's the optimal future of that training, rather than, and because you already have a bit of hesitation, he's going to use tough love rather than, or he's going to use mechanisms
Yeah,
that you had already told yourself, I don't want to do it that way.
right.
So that's really where the resignation's coming from. As you begin to be more open to, well, this or something better. This guy seems to be convinced that he has the techniques. As long as he doesn't harm my dog, let's see how it goes. Does that make sense? But
Yeah.
the resistance is actually around, I told everybody and myself I don't want to do it that way. And now I'm caving in, or I'm finding I'm at a loss and I need to anyway. It's not the way I wanted to create it. So as you forgive yourself for not creating it the first time the way you wanted to, be open, then you can be open to, okay, so what is the magic I can create here? This person has shown up in my reality, is represents an opportunity for Sandy to understand boundaries and see how it goes. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And
Right.
then the new car is wonderful, an exploration. So many different models. And as you're looking at elegance and ease for you and Harry, the self-driving feature is attractive. So do your research, talk to people who have one. How does it work? Is it safe? Is it going to be convenient in my area? What happens when we travel longer distances? That sort of thing. It sounds like you're already doing that.
I'm already doing it. I'm beginning. Initially, I felt very uncomfortable with, traveling with an electric vehicle, but I've been, like I said, I've been looking at where we want to go, and are there charging stations, and how does that work? Harry's way more uncomfortable than I am, and really hates the idea. But he doesn't do any of the driving, so he doesn't understand like how sleepy I can get. Going from Baltimore to DC at 10 o'clock at night after I've been up since 5 in the morning. And, like he just, or on an 8-hour drive where I'm doing it by myself. Like he's supportive of me, but he doesn't understand what it feels like since he's never driven a car. Um, so, uh, yeah. And so I want to take his concern into consideration, but I also know he also doesn't know what he's asking when he's saying, let's get a car with no self-driving feature. Uh, and it's that, the future. Like, so Jean-Francois and I were talking about it, and between now and 2030, there's supposed to be like an additional million charging stations added in the United States. There's currently like 200,000. And 5 years ago, there were like 40,000. So it jumped from 5 years ago, yeah, 40,000 to like 200,000. And now it's supposed to go from 200,000 to 1.2 million. So, so I think that's all that part of like what kind of future are we stepping into?
Yes, absolutely. Wonderful.
Right.
So you're right on track. Work your magic.
All right. Thank you, Tara.
Yes, beautiful. All right, we love you so. And we believe Henry is next.
Yes. Henry.
Yes, hello, Tara. Thank you very much for being here again this week and talking with me.
Certainly. Where do we begin?
The meditation was very intriguing. I wasn't quite sure that the lifetimes that came up were the right ones, as it were. But then I certainly heard your word perfection earlier on, and so the first one was the young priestess who is very connected with, the young priestess who had to heal and couldn't have a lifetime as a young kid, and then somebody came and took her away, and she thought this is love, but she got gang raped, and so the whole thing went wrong. And at the same time, in that one, I was thinking, well, my wounding is, I mean, not quite like that, but my wounding was important at that point. And then another one came up later with a kind of a powerful man who was stood on the top of a very high building. I think I discussed this with Lazarus, or if I didn't discuss it, it was very powerful in a seminar. And this was the first experience of having a higher self, of not being alone. And he was powerful and had a good life of what he was doing, but he wanted to throw himself off the building, and because he felt so alone and undirected, and here was the higher self turning up, and him getting a sense for the first time of that was the idea that this was the first time that I, in any lifetime, had a sense of a higher self and something more. And I think that seemed to be the last two that you mentioned. I think there were four, weren't there? And I think it's probably about my relationship with my higher self, which is very rocky at the moment, and just because I'm well. Perfection has come up again this week, as you mentioned it, and then as an event, what's come up is that I need to renew my green card, and I suddenly realized that I should go for naturalization, really, as I've had a green card for more than 30 years. And I got very excited at that idea and started researching it. And then suddenly I discovered that they can very well look into the last 5 years of your taxes. And that brought up a whole bunch of stuff about how so many things in my life have been a fiddle and don't really quite add up. And have been a kind of manipulation, because I don't know, because I feel either I haven't had the money in my life, or I mean, it comes out of I think my parents' view of the world, but and then just really feeling stuck that, well, how am I going to deal with that? And then it's all coming up, well, I need to talk to my higher self about it, and it just feels like, well, I just can't see my way through the possibility. I mean, it's so kind of basic stuff, isn't it? The possibility that this is all going to go wrong, and because things are going to pop up that shouldn't have been, and and then again, just looking at how I always think I've got to manipulate or I've got to fiddle things around somehow, and I think that this somehow is connected with, well, obviously with the meditation. Can I ask you where we are now at this point?
Yeah, so lesser self strategy.
Yes.
So when you know you're creating your own reality, when you're in you the more, consciously creating more magic, more fun, more love, more expansion, it's a different resonance. When you are in your lesser self, the strategies that the lesser self uses are the tools that you have available. So, but along with that comes anxiety or fear or dread or negative emotions.
Yeah.
And so here you are with an opportunity. Oh, I could either pay a lot of money to renew the green card, or I can pay a lot of money to become naturalized. We would suggest you choose the one that resonates with your future self. So as you look into the future, do you expect to be here in America for the majority of your time?
Yes.
Are there freedoms that you gain by citizenship that you don't have at the moment that you could make use of in the future? Are there consequences to having dual citizenship? If there are no consequences and there are only benefits, then we would suggest the answer of why not would be a positive one. But if information comes to light that says, well, it's not looked well upon from my home country, it could affect things, then that would be your answer, wouldn't it?
Yes, I don't think there are any problems like that.
That's wonderful. So then we would suggest more is better in most. The more expansive the opportunity is, the more freedoms and permissions you have, the stronger your foundation is. Does that make sense?
Yes, I don't particularly see any huge advantages to ex except that if things go wrong, then I can be thrown out. But um,
So there's an assumption here that you are not under the same level of scrutiny on one path than you are on the other, and we would suggest that is not correct.
right,
That you're being scrutinized either way, equally.
sure,
And so, as you just let that be, it has been fine for 30 years. Why would it end now?
yeah,
Then you really truly have a choice available to you. Oh, I could do this or I could do that.
yeah,
And as you take out of the equation trepidation, which is one of the energies that were released today
yeah,
about things that are out of your control, when you release that and say, oh no, it hasn't been a problem, and so it won't be a problem either way. Does that help?
right. I mean, well, my feeling has been yes, it hasn't been a problem, and I don't see why it should be a problem. But this is something I really should deal with because people uh, people seem to think that it should be dealt with.
So people is very general. You don't need to name specific names, but be
Yes, no,
sure.
I'm not talking about PR. I'm talking about the, if I read about it, or it's just the general idea that it's been such a long time that I've been on a green card, and I'm old, so they don't ask me as many questions. But um, yeah. It,
So what we're sensing is there you're not in touch with that you have a freedom of choice.
right.
That you're going to default to your old choice because you can't answer all the questions that you can't answer until you go through the process, you see. So that energy is one of, I want to guarantee that I'm going to succeed if I choose one way or the other. I already know I'm going to succeed doing the same thing as before.
Yeah.
And so then it becomes a question of, do you want the other? And if you want it, are you willing to be open to creating it in a positive way with harm to none? Now, if you don't really want it, meaning you can't really see how it's going to make any difference,
Right.
then you already have your answer. Why would you put all that energy into something you don't really want? Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
just wanting it to pass the test or to get the credential isn't reason enough. This is
Yeah.
about creating a reality that you love. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does it allow you to express more of who you truly are? If it doesn't matter, then go the easy route. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if you were to look at what rights and privileges do I have under one and what do I have under the other, if they're the same, they're not exactly the same, by the way, but they're similar.
Yeah.
Uh, then which do you care about making sure you have in the future? And our guidance is more freedom is better.
Yeah.
So as you look from the standpoint of which one do I have more freedoms? That's the answer, essentially. But then
Yeah.
there's also the process. There's a cost for each one. There's a procedure. There's the uncertainty that is being brought in as, but I don't know if I'm going to get it. Well, what happens if you apply and you don't get it? Can you still go the other route?
No. No, I can't. It
And
seems.
is that
And,
true?
and
Is that true?
it, well, the other thing is that the law is likely to change very soon, in a few weeks, about making it much more expensive to go for naturalization and not being able to take the cheaper route and things like that. But yeah, the thing underneath all of it, which is what I think my decisions about so much in my life are not really about what do I really want. It's about, it's just opened up the rag bag of the things that I had to thought I had to fiddle with because I didn't do things in the right time, and so I had to pretend that things were so, or not declare so much of something or other. And just seeing that thread so much through my life. This is obviously a big bag on my back about going into the future. I mean, it's something when I'm thinking of something, I just realizing I'm always thinking, well, what's the way to make this work? Because just going straightforwardly, I can't see how that's going to happen. Does that make any sense?
So what we're hearing, and you can correct us if we're not hearing it correctly,
Yeah.
is my authenticity is not something that I thought I could value in the past. My authenticity was what I set down in order to survive. So telling the truth, having character, showing up, those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And in this context, we understand what you're talking about. We don't need to say it explicitly. As you recognize, but wait a minute, I had advice from an expert on how to complete my information. And so let yourself know you did the best you could with the resources you had. And forgive yourself for where you could have been more authentically willing to create more abundance. Because that's really what we would say, cheated yourself out of. Was those futures where, well, if I have too much abundance, well, then the tax man comes calling. It's a fine line of what do I really create my own reality? Well, not where taxes are concerned. And yet you hear all the time in the news about how so-and-so doesn't pay any taxes, or so-and-so only pays a very small percentage compared to what everybody else is paying. So there are examples of that there is a process or a procedure available if you have the right information where you don't have to pay all the time. You don't have to pay the same rate that somebody who has a salaried job, for instance, or an hourly wage job has to pay.
Right.
A self-employed person has a very different circumstance. So when you worked for a company years ago, it made sense that they would take money out of your paycheck if that's the way it was done.
Yeah.
But then once you become a business owner, sometimes you have to pay quarterly. If you do very, very well, you have to pay quarterly taxes. But if you have fluctuations, big fluctuations in your wealth, then, well, they just have you pay at the end, depending on how you did.
Yes, there have been times when I've paid quarterly, but um,
So getting back to your authenticity,
yeah.
as you hear, I did the best I could with the resources I have, what comes up?
Um, well, I don't know that I did. I mean, I was working with accountants, but they were saying, "Oh, well, you don't necessarily need to, declare that and that because there's some stuff, pension stuff that comes from the UK, and and that wasn't necessarily true. But so
So how is it that, okay, so we are just aware that you are keeping yourself on the hook with a hidden agenda.
right,
So as you look in that arena in the coming week to see what you can uncover there. Why would I keep myself on the hook? What do I get out of that? It's the lesser self-protection, clearly, but it isn't there for no reason. It's
Right.
supposed to keep you safe. But as with all strategies that come from the child and the adolescent, you've outgrown them. They're no longer appropriate to your adult situation. And we're not saying the actions you took were inappropriate. We're saying the strategy of keeping yourself small, of keeping yourself on the hook that would cause guilt or trepidation or fear or inactivity because, well, I don't know what to do next. I'll just do nothing. Does that make sense?
Yes, or get advice from somebody who can come up with a way of dealing with stuff that should have been dealt with. Um,
Yes. And are there any guarantees? When you go and get expert advice, are there any guarantees?
well, no, but when I have had the expert advice in this area, and with Social Security as well, and with other things, um, with all my um, the healthcare stuff. It was all ways of getting around the system, and it just feels like it's a kind of a long path of
So it's important to forgive yourself.
sorry.
It's important for you to forgive yourself,
Yes.
to let yourself off the hook
Yeah.
so that you can make way for a different reality.
Right.
Because you get to feel bad. Let's put it simply. You get to shame yourself for not doing it well enough, not doing it good enough. And at the end of the day, I didn't know what I was doing. They didn't know what they were doing. I can only assume nobody knows what they're doing. That nobody else knows what they are doing, or I don't create the reality where the right information comes into me. So,
Yeah, I feel we all knew what we were doing, and just trying to deal with what seemed like problems.
so you had the best advice you could have at that time. We're not saying that you don't have room for forgiveness. We can clearly see that you are holding on to, I did it wrong, they did it wrong, and somebody should pay. Who's going to pay? Me. So you have a choice. You can stay on this side of the doorway, holding on to all of that, but it has no place in the optimal future you're creating. The way that you think about yourself.
Right, exactly.
Because embedded in that is not that I deserve or I'm worthy or I'm fully loved. Embedded in it is I'm really not that good.
Well, I don't have integrity is what keeps on coming up, as I'm
Yes. So
trying to do
I
with integrity.
sacrificed my character, I sacrificed my integrity in order to get my way, and I need to forgive myself.
Right.
And when you truly forgive yourself, what opens up? Because if you don't think there's something on the other side of forgiveness, why bother? But if you were to know, ending the pain of the past
Yeah.
and forgiving yourself for whatever, it can be the smallest thing, or it can be something pretty heavy and intense like what you're talking about. Because that, as you're dealing with now in the time of the double, you're facing yourself in the mirror.
Yeah.
And you're not liking what you see. But it's not all of you. It was something you did in the past. Now, how do you change into who you want to be in the future? You have to forgive yourself for
Yeah.
doing. I did the best I could with what I had. It doesn't sound real great in the context of lying, cheating, stealing. We're being dramatic here. Being
Right.
inauthentic, having to tell white lies. So the real concern is you want to make sure, is the real concern I'm going to get punished in the future by some unknown authority or some known authority?
Mm.
Is that the future I'm heading into? Or am I willing to head into the optimal future where this has been forgiven?
Right.
I forgave myself. I forgave the experts who I blame, because there is blame in there, even though it doesn't sound like it. And there's even blame for the tax authorities. Why can't they be more clear? Why can't I just fill out the easy form like everybody else? So you see, there's levels of blame that then rob you of your authority, of your power.
Mm.
So you want to recall all that back. Okay, they told me what they told me. I did what they told me. It was the best I could do. I'm not happy about it. It was what I created. I didn't create a reality where I got the green light and I didn't have to pay a small amount of money. I created the reality where I had to outsmart the system. I had to play a game. I had to compromise my character. That's not a positive reality, is it?
No.
And that's really what you're upset about. When you look at it, I don't even like who I became in that. There was a cost to me for creating that reality. And that's what needs to be forgiven.
Right.
Because as a map maker magician, you're all here wanting to know, how do I create a better reality? How do I do this more optimally next time? How do I move beyond my failures in the past? And that's what it is for you. It's a failure. I didn't create it the way I wanted to. I didn't know I could dream it differently. Or if I did, well, I didn't really believe I could dream it differently. I knew somebody else could, but I couldn't.
Right.
And that's what you need to forgive. That's what's on the hook. I'm keeping myself in a less than position. because it's painful. And I don't really want to go into the pain.
Hmm.
But as we've said, you don't heal the pain by going into the pain again and again. That just makes you feel bad.
Right.
Lowers your resonance. What you want to do is go into the longing, but you have to know what you're longing for. Well, what are you longing? Well, I'm longing for abundance. I'm longing for prosperity. I'm longing for solutions that come easily with elegance. I'm longing for a community that supports me, even if it's just one expert who's going to show me the way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So as you step into the what you long for, and for you, it's mostly around the freedom to express yourself, around passion, around creativity, around connection with other people, other souls.
Yeah.
In that resonance, when you look at which way should I go, which one gives me more freedom, you make arrive at the answer. Keeping things the same has been working for 30 years, and I expect it to continue to work. There's a lot of people like me in America who have my situation of wanting are deciding does it mean I should naturalize? And what's the consequence back home if I do? Where because you have the choice of dual citizenship, for you it's actually a freedom to have both. It opens up access to other resources you may not even be aware of.
Hmm.
But of course, if you really don't really see that future, that you don't really need citizenship to have the freedoms you want, it's really just a financial decision. Which one costs less? Does that make sense?
Um, yes. Well, yes. Yes. As I say, underneath all of it is this, as I'm looking at it, is just seeing what I think is my lack of integrity in just so much of what I do.
And so what do you want to do about it? Because it's not all of you, Henry. You show a very powerful sense of character and integrity every Monday and often on Thursdays
Yeah.
by showing up. And then all the other activities you have throughout the week where you show up consistently. You have integrity. It matters to you. The fact that it matters to you and that it's part of your optimal future self is relevant. Oh, if I were more free to be in integrity, what would life be like? What would be different? Oh, well, I wouldn't be beating myself up over the past. I would know that I'm forgivable. Does that help?
Yes. Yes. Forgiveness has always been a problem. So that,
Well, because when you do
well,
truly forgive something,
yeah.
you're really free of it. And when you're free of the past, suddenly the future is available. And you don't know what that future is. It's unknown to you until you begin the exploration. But
Yes, and
to
what
hold
comes,
on to the past, there is this misunderstanding that happens that the lesser self decided. The lesser self decided if we hold on to how things are, we can guarantee the future. It'll be consistent.
yeah.
Well, how fun is
Well,
that? Not very fun.
yes, and it's so obviously not true. I mean,
Exactly. But
I mean,
it's
and it's
also
coming up, but
it's also not in just by definition, the lesser self is operating in control or victimhood in the lower resonances. The lesser
yeah,
self is not operating from love.
yeah,
So not only is it not true because you have access to love in the future, you have access to love anytime. It is a state of being. It is an emotion you generate. It's a quality of the life you want to live. But being in lesser self strategies robs you of that.
yeah,
And so it is important. However, you refer to your lesser self, sometimes it's I'm in a victim mode, or I'm out of integrity, or I'm in martyrhood, or I'm in my negative ego, however you describe it, the bottom line is the lesser self is made up of strategies the child and the adolescent designed to survive and to belong. So there's light in there, there's luminous intent. They don't want to continue to exist there either.
yeah,
Yeah. So when you look to see, okay, I'm really upset that I was out of integrity. Take it back to the earliest time you felt you had to be. The earliest time you can remember when you had to manipulate to get what you wanted. And it didn't need to be that phrase. The earliest time you had to manipulate to survive an unfavorable situation.
yeah.
And then go be with that Henry, with your higher self, and change that reality. Then you will be more free to forgive. Does that help?
Yes, that feels hopeful.
Yes. You're right on
And
track.
the thing that's still coming up, which I guess is around the forgiveness, is just, you know, the future is there's all this stuff that, you know, the future could be about it just coming up and being found out.
Could be. Is that the one you want?
No.
Play it out in your mind, in your imagination where it doesn't hurt anybody. Play it out in your imagination. Oh my God, they find me out. What happens?
Yeah.
So that reality is a possible reality. It's why we always encourage you to direct your attention to the most optimal future,
Right.
most positive. There's a whole range that are
Yeah.
possible. But from the sea of possibility, bring it down into a range of most optimal. Because when you have that sense of there's more to create here, it's more fun to create something more consciously. I really do care if there's love in my life. That's in that most optimal range, you see.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's up to you to choose that direction and then to allow the energy to impact you and bring up what needs to be brought up. So do you need to go grovel for those tax returns if those tax returns were signed off by the IRS or by the accountant? No, they're a done deal. They're done.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
What would you need to give up to allow that to be so? What are you trying to be right about that is keeping you on the hook? I'm coming back to that phrase because it seems like you're just hanging there off a hook and you can't get down.
Ju-
You would have to give up being right that they did it wrong.
well, not being honest. It's about honesty. It's this thing that's coming up around.
Can you begin to be brutally honest with yourself from this moment forward?
I can try.
Yes, that is true. That is all you can do because the past is in the past. So each moment you get to choose, who am I going to be right now? In the face of new information, how's Henry going to respond?
Yeah.
And am I going to listen from how can I be most in integrity? How can I be consistent in my actions with what I say so that what I say and what I do match up? That's integrity. How can
Yes.
I have more spontaneous honesty so that if somebody asks me how I'm feeling,
Yeah.
I can just spontaneously say, oh, I'm happy, or oh, I'm sad, or oh, I'm in love, or oh, I really am unhappy today. That's builds character. Spontaneous honesty builds character, and character builds integrity. So there's that red label from Lazarus. If you don't have access to it, we do recommend it. Katrina had
Which,
interesting exploration of that many years ago
which one?
with the Red Label series.
Yeah.
We believe it's called Honesty and Integrity.
Oh, right.
So after about 3 days of doing the meditations rigorously, you have to do them for 7 days or 21 days, 7 days, 7 days, 7 days. After about the third day, she found herself just being spontaneously honest,
Right.
which for her was a big no-no in her peacemaker makeup of always being nice and never
Yeah.
saying what she felt or what she thought because it might upset somebody.
Right.
But after about 3 days of this Red Label tape, she was being spontaneously honest. And guess what? She had surprising responses. Sometimes they were good, sometimes they were bad.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is she learned she survived any response.
Hmm.
That it was more important to be honest and clean up impact along the way
Right.
than to hold back the honesty. So important to knowing who you are, to know that you have character, to have integrity. It's coming up because you actually do have it and you need to strengthen it.
Yes. Well, I mean, this in between place of the old thing of having bad impact by saying what's true, and at the same time, I'm also being able to be open with people and say what I
Yes.
mean.
And we're not saying that you should go to everybody out there and tell them the absolute truth,
No, wouldn't be.
because the truth of the matter is it's your truth.
Yes, right,
So it's
exactly.
important to say, oh, well, would you like to know my truth? Would you like to hear my version of reality?
Yeah,
That will save you a whole lot of trouble. Because it's also being spontaneously honest, but it's taking responsibility for the meaning you're giving things, leaving the other person open to sharing their interpretation also. Does that
yeah,
help?
yes. Well, I'm just thinking about, as relationships are opening up with new people that haven't come out of the Lazarus um, way. That I'm feeling some disappointment that this isn't how I really want it to be. And then I'm thinking, well, isn't that just about dreaming it to be the way I want to be?
Absolutely.
And then I'm thinking, but that's, I mean, how can I do that? That's them. But and I'm changing them the way I want them to be. And is that okay?
So here's the truth of the matter. At a soul level, you have soul level agreements to help each other grow. How that comes about through the consciousness that you are, that means the you in time and space, is really up to you. What version do you want to explore those dynamics in? And you have a whole range. Oh, we could learn it through pain, we can learn it through fun, we can learn it through love. There's a whole range of
Yeah.
possible ways of exploring relationships with another soul. So that's allowing someone to be more real, means you're allowing them to actually have impact on you. And you are conscious that you have impact on them. Now, when they're simply an illusion, then they're sort of interesting information, and you take from it what you need and you explore it, and then they disappear into the illusion again. So there's a big difference in those relationships that matter, that have soul as part of the encounter.
Yeah.
And oftentimes there's an ease that comes with those relationships. It's why you're drawn together in the first place, because it's the foundation is the love and the light that you are. And so then as you lean into that love, into that light, and you want to improve yourself, I want to be more loving in my communication.
Mm.
I want to be more loving to myself. That's always a good sign. If that's not part of the willingness to engage, then you can already know, oh, I probably got what I needed from that encounter.
Mm. Oh, I see.
We're not saying get rid of all your relationships.
No.
Hone in on the ones where you do feel that mattering showing up, where you feel that love effortlessly.
Yeah.
Beautiful. We love you so.
Thank you so very much.
Yes, you're right on track.
Thank you. I love you
All
too.
right, and we believe there's one more. Carol.
Hello.
Yes, dear one.
Before I ask for my silly question, as I said, the discussion and the meditation, I have many bugs in me, that prevent me from having what I want. And I always dream big. So I cut my grass under my feet for sure. I'll give you two examples. Because Hélène, when she spoke about cars, she made me realize. Just before we started the meditation, the idea that popped up in my head is, if I get all what I want, the life that I want, then I won't want to die, and I have to die. So, I have silly thoughts like that. And then on the contrary, because I'm unable to make a focus, on me, to be a unity on me. As I said, since I'm 16 years old, the most beautiful car that existed in the world and will ever exist is the Austin Ely 3000. It always has been my dream. So what happens is that about 2 weeks ago, there's a car dealer close to my place, and they have Austin Ely 3000. So I came in and I asked the guy if I could try it. So I sit in the car, and right away the smashing thought, this is my coffin if I have it. You know, I have strange thoughts like that all the time that really destroy all the dreams because then I realize I'll never have this car because otherwise I die. So there's always the security and the death, that comes into it. And the same thing with the apartment, this condo that I dreamt about that I never recovered from not having it. And yet, my apartment, I like it, but it's only a 3.5. But people who come here, they like it when they come here. There's something that happens to them. And I like my apartment, but I also dream of better with the elevator, with things like that. So it's always a conflict within me. And then if I have money, will I live in Quebec or will I live in Montreal? I can't decide. I would have to have a pied à terre in both places. So I don't know how to make unity within me and stop those, silly thoughts that come all the time that ruin the whole thing. So do you have a suggestion?
So as far as the negative thoughts that come that shut down your joy, it does warrant sitting with higher self and saying, whose voice was that?
Hmm.
Because your higher self only gives you loving information.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to know who's talking to you. What aspect of self or what energy are you allowing to guide you in those moments of joy? So it could take you back into your childhood to somebody who constantly robbed you of your joy. Could take you into a lifetime. It's worth exploring that. And you may also come up with the answer, well, it really is there to protect me from being too expansive.
Mm.
And then to look to see, okay, what's important about that? So there are those people who are thrill seekers who then fall to their death, but at least they did it in joy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
But I don't want to
you
smash us a beautiful car.
exactly. You're not here to create those nightmares
Mm-hmm.
or those out of the blue events. So if you find, well, your higher self may say, well, you did tell us that we should warn you when something is likely to lead to an unexpected outcome that you don't want. If that's the case, then invite your higher self to speak to you differently, more clearly about what future you want to create. So if you were to have that car, which is your dream car, does it really mean death or does it mean something else? It could mean death, meaning you could have an accident or whatever if you got that imagery, but it could also mean once you have attain your ideal, what else is there to be here for?
Yeah, I have this thought as well.
And so that's a conversation worth having with higher self and soul
Mm.
around, I'm here to create the new world. I'm here to live the new world, to manifest it, to design it and manifest it while I'm here. Help me do that while I'm here.
Yeah, yeah. Because I also have this conflict. Will I come back or is it my last lifetime?
Yes.
I'm
Well,
always in
there's so
conflict.
much fun in the physical plane, and yet we want you to be aware that when you sit with soul and talk about what's next
Mm.
and the mystery and the beauty and the transcendence that is part of that, it's not a failure.
Mm.
And at the same time, the commitment that each of you made to make a difference here in the physical plane was a soul level commitment that you take very, very seriously because of that. And so as you complete this lifetime, you are here to bring all your lifetimes home and to give yourself the freedom to choose. So you may have heard Lazarus talk about the immortals.
Mm.
They can drop into reality by choice. They can choose when to show up. And they don't have to stay. They can also exit, you see. It's resonance, it's transcendence energy that by choice is manifest in time and space, and then it's returned to the transcendent state. So consider maybe that is part of something that's possible for you, that longing to come back isn't about living another lifetime, though it could be. I want to live the lifetime where I have the silver spoon.
Yeah, I love castles.
And so
Dream big.
just make sure you choose a lifetime where you have all the freedoms as well.
Anyway, and okay, so thank you. Yeah, and this is something also that someday I will ask you because it's on my mind, to conquer death. I don't understand very well what it is, and one day I will ask you, to go
Yes.
more
So
that.
it begins with those conversations where you experience in advance in meditation, obviously, where you meet with soul and you experience your version of the remain.
Of the
The remain comes
the
in
remain.
the
Okay.
final face of soul
Okay.
and brings you home. Now, home is the word that you give it is what you give transcendence here in the earth plane. But as you've heard from beings like Lazarus, well, what does Lazarus do in their free time? Well, they create universes and galaxies and systems. So you don't have to stay with the imagery of, well, I'm done when I'm home. Allow it to be more.
I miss the music, Vivaldi and Haydn, and I can't leave that behind. It's such a joy to listen to it.
And that's a good question. Is there music beyond?
Yes, I have. Yes, I'm asking always questions.
Yeah,
It's never
beautiful.
end, all day long. Yeah, but the silly question that I want to ask you, because since months I've been looking for a book that I have, and I've went all through my bookshelves maybe 3 times. I live in a 3.5, and my books don't go out from my place. I just can't find it, and I need it. So would you have an idea where it is? Otherwise, I'll have to buy another one, and I don't want to do that.
All right. Well, what's important is to ask the finder elves to assist if you haven't already.
The what?
The finder elves will find anything.
Okay. Oh,
Now,
okay. Yeah.
the agreement is they will always place it where you'll have the thought, why didn't I see that? But part of you knows it wasn't there until they presented it.
Mhm.
So it's an exploration of the being and the non-being, the causal plane, all of that. So are you willing to suspend belief that the book exists in your apartment and be willing for the finder elves to drop it in
That would be nice.
and say, with harm to none, with elegance and ease, I'm willing to receive the book.
Mhm.
And then you go about looking. Every so often you look, is it here? Is it here? And then it will show itself
Yeah, I
because it
need it.
really is an illusion. And when
Ah,
you can't see it, it's not there. And when you see it, it is.
yeah, true,
And so to play with that,
true. Thank you.
it can be a lot of fun.
Thank you.
All right, wonderful. We love you so. All right. And so to each of you who shared this evening, so powerful, each of you at that threshold, knowing what's coming is more and who you are becoming is more. And what about this stuff in the past? Can you be done with it? And we say, yes, you can. That it's, you have healed enough. You are good enough to be done with those things in the past that have plagued you. But it is also part of your journey to, as Henry is doing in the time of the double, looking himself in the mirror and saying, I don't really like this about myself. I don't want to take that into the future. And so I need to forgive what I no longer appreciate about myself. Got me where it's got me to where I am. I have survived. I'm still here. But I don't want it to be part of who I'm becoming. And so to be open to magic and miracles of love. All right. And so we go for now. We go with love and peace. As we bring Katrina back, we go with love and peace. Until next time.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Tara.
Tara.
Thank you, Tara.